Good evening, and welcome. Tonight we're talking about when Yggdrasil, the mighty world tree, just needed a nap. Apparently, even cosmic trees get tired. Before we settle in, here's something I'm always curious about. What small, strange thing helps you fall asleep? Share it in the comments. It's oddly comforting to hear the little habits that help others drift off. If you enjoy divine drama, ancient magic, and mildly sarcastic storytelling, consider subscribing. Let's begin. Tonight, we're slipping quietly into the branches and roots of something older than time itself. Picture this: a tree so massive its limbs hold the heavens. Its roots sip from the deepest wells of existence, and its trunk? Just a pathway connecting 9 entire realms. You stand at its base now, and surprise, it looks like it needs a nap. Leaves droop. Bark cracks like old knuckles. And those mysterious, glowing veins along its bark? They're flickering like cheap fairy lights. This isn't your average botanical emergency. It's an interdimensional exhaustion spiral. And, you're standing smack in the middle of it. You probably won't survive this. But let's be honest, you weren't sleeping anyway. You tilt your head back, squinting through twilight as Yggdrasil groans above you. It's not creaking like a tree in the wind. It's groaning like a parent who's been asked too many questions before their morning coffee. The sound ripples through your spine, and somehow your to-do list is instantly erased. You're here now, wrapped in rootstock no one quite knows. How long Yggdrasil's been standing? Some scholars suggest it predates even time. Yes, that slippery concept we invented just to explain why our toast gets cold. Others think it sprouted the moment the first being opened their eyes and asked, "Why is there something instead of nothing?" Historians still argue whether Yggdrasil was meant to be literal or symbolic. But then again, those historians never had to dodge a flying acorn the size of a bowling ball. You sidestep just in time. Thud, the ground trembles, and a puff of moss shoots into your face. Delicious dot above, a squirrel. No, the squirrel scampers along the branches. Ratatoskr, gossip, king of the realms. He pauses to glare at you like you're 5 minutes late for drama club, then zips off to continue his cross-tree shouting match between the dragon Nidhogg, gnawing the roots, and the eagle brooding in the highest boughs. Honestly, the drama triangle between those three could fill an entire season of reality TV. Yggdrasil should be immune to fatigue. It has weathered Ragnarok simulations, hosted godly board meetings, and even absorbed a few thousand prayers from desperate humans asking for things like eternal youth or better Wi-Fi. But today, the bark looks dimmer. The pulse running through it, slower dot, and okay, here's where it gets weird. Well, weirder. You sit against the trunk, and you feel it yawn. Not you. The tree. It's faint but unmistakable. The whole fabric of reality just sighed in your ear and mumbled, 5 more minutes. Now you're wondering what happens if the thing holding up the 9 realms nods off. The air buzzes differently up here, musky with ozone, like a thunderstorm. Backstage dot, you know those 17th century travelers who thought the world was balanced on elephants standing on a turtle. Wrong, but at least they never had to worry about whether their raw, cosmological load-bearing tree needed melatonin. You climb a little higher, and the wood beneath your palms is warm, not just from sunlight. It's got a pulse, a rhythm, like it's dreaming already, just a little. And when Yggdrasil dreams, reality kind of leaks. That's probably why you spot a Roman centurion chatting with a samurai over coffee in a root hollow. They both nod politely as you pass. You don't ask. They don't explain. Everywhere, creatures whisper in low tones. Elves with sparkly notebooks. Valkyries clutching their heads like someone just ruined their group itinerary. Even the Midgardian birds are holding their breath. Now, Here's a quirky historical tidbit for you. During the Viking Age, sailors often invoked Yggdrasil before voyages, not to keep them safe, but to ensure the gods were awake enough to notice them. Priorities. You're starting to feel it too. That drowsy, heavy-limbed lull that seeps into your bones. But it's not your tiredness. It's being borrowed by something far bigger than you. Yggdrasil's roots are sapping a little energy from everything people, places, timelines like. It's charging up for one epic REM cycle. The leaves rustle louder, even though the wind is dead still. A feather drifts down, silver and massive, from the eagle who watches the worlds. It flutters across your face like a silk scarf. Somehow, you understand that even he is conserving his. Wing beats today. All of creation seems to be bracing for something. The world tree isn't dying. Not yet, but it's slowing. Deliberate like an old king rising from a throne. Joints popping, each step echoing through centuries. There's a difference between death and rest. And Yggdrasil is choosing the latter. You take a deep breath and, for a moment, the air smells like apple blossoms and smoke. Echoes of Idun's orchard and old sacrifices beneath the boughs. You wonder if this is how the gods feel when they dream. Or when they finally allow themselves to stop holding up the sky. You lay a hand against the bark again. It's vibrating now, like a lullaby is beginning to hum from the inside out. The kind of lullaby that makes planets spin slower and myths unravel gently at the edges. And just like that, you realize, if Yggdrasil is taking a nap, someone or something has to watch the realms while it does. You glance down at your hands. Oh no, you blink up at the tangle of branches above. No, wait, not just branches. Those are antlers. You squint harder. Definitely antlers. And there, perched on the highest limbs of Yggdrasil, is a massive stag. Calmly chewing leaves like this is just a casual Tuesday. That's Dane, or is it Valen? No one really agrees which stag is which. And honestly, they might be switching names just to mess with historians. But here's what matters. There are 4 of them. Daned, Dvalin, Dunair, and Durarer. Yes, try saying those names 3 times fast. They live up top, lounging like bored goats at a rooftop cafe, nibbling on Yggdrasil's leaves, and contributing absolutely nothing helpful except a whole lot of droppings that eventually fall through the realms. Yeah, those mysterious meteor showers. Sometimes not meteors. Above them soars the great eagle. No name, just the eagle. A creature so ancient and grumpy that even Odin avoids small talk. Nestled between its eyes, a hawk named Verfgalnir, who, as best scholars can guess, serves as some kind of celestial eyebrow. Historians still argue whether Verfgalnir is symbolic of vision, judgment, or just a really judgmental bird. And yet, none of them are helping. The eagle flaps once, sending a gust that rustles every realm below, and then resumes glaring at existence. You catch the faintest mutter from above. This is why I don't do group projects. Down below, way below, a new vibration crawls up the bark. It's not gentle like before. It's gnawing, rhythmic, persistent. You press your ear against the tree trunk and hear it clearly now. Scrape, scrape, chew, repeat. Nihigr, the corpse dragon, the doom nibbler. An absolute nightmare with dental issues, and a grudge the size of Muspelheim. He's been chewing on Yggdrasil's deepest root for ages. Some say out of hunger, others say spite, possibly both. Fringe folklore insists. He once applied to be a sky god and was rejected for too much drool. You shudder and climb higher. Somewhere midway up the trunk, you catch sight of Ratatoskr again. That squirrel is on his 5th lap today, flinging insults between eagle and dragon like it's the gossip Olympics. You lean over and try to wave. He flips his tail dramatically and keeps running. Back when Norse mythology was mostly oral tradition, Long before Marvel gave Thor a haircut, Ratatoskr was always described as malicious, not evil, just enthusiastic about spreading chaos. Imagine a barista who also wants to ruin your marriage. But here's the strange part. Today, even Ratatoskr seems sluggish. His squeaks are softer. He pauses more often, as though forgetting which insult to carry next. It hits you again. Yggdrasil's nap is bleeding into everything, even the creatures who've never stopped moving. Breeze drifts up from the base, and with it comes a smell you did not ask for: brimstone and seawater. You glance downward and spot something swirling around the roots. A serpent, but not Jormungandr. He's busy circling the ocean and scheduling his eventual world-ending wrestling match with Thor. No. This is something else, a minor root dweller, lured by the stillness. You mutter to yourself, should have brought snacks, or at least bug spray. As you scale higher, you start to see odd phenomena tucked between branches. A Viking shield wedged in the bark, glowing faintly with runes, a broken timepiece ticking backward, a stone tablet scrawled with what might be a to-do list. Don't let. Midgard, burn, feed squirrel, rotate leaves. You wonder who wrote it. A bored god? A Valkyrie on overtime? Possibly a tree intern. If Yggdrasil has interns, you really hope they get dental. Then comes a sound deeper than before. Not just fatigue. It's the sound of something stretching, something vast and wooden and sacred, realizing it might finally be able to rest. You grip the bark tighter, heart thudding. You feel the tension roll upward through the trunk, like a yawn climbing a skyscraper. Here's your mainstream historical fact. In the Prose Edda, one of our main sources for Norse cosmology, Snorri Sturluson describes Yggdrasil as an evergreen ash tree whose roots connect to three major wells: Urgarbrunna, Mimisbrunna, and Virgelmir. Each well represents different forces: fate, wisdom, and primal energy. It's like a spiritual Wi-Fi router for the 9 realms. And right now, the signal is getting wobbly. But let's zoom out, because here's where things get fringe. Some mystics believed Yggdrasil is more than myth. It's a psychic echo of an ancient shamanic axis mundi, a universal pattern found across cultures: the Mayan world tree, the Sephirot of Kabbalah, the tree of life in Egypt. They all hint at the same vertical highway of reality. Some even claim Yggdrasil's roots pulse beneath our own world, invisible but deeply real. Others think it's just a really cool metaphor. You decide. Somewhere to your right, a rustle of feathers. The hawk flutters its wings and looks directly at you. There's a weird intelligence in its stare, like it knows you don't belong here. But maybe you're necessary. Maybe someone has to witness this slowing down. You ease yourself into a crook between 2 thick branches. Not high enough to get singed by Asgard's golden light. Not low enough to fall into Niflheim's frozen breath. Just middle. Mid-tree. Mid-thought. The wood vibrates under your legs like a lullaby tuned to the bones. Even the stag above pauses mid-chew, one leafy strand dangling from its mouth, like it just forgot what leaves are. You lie back. You listen. For now, the 9 realms hold. But if this nap deepens, if Yggdrasil really lets go, you suspect things might start falling apart in hilariously inconvenient ways, like a squirrel declaring himself king, or a thunder god forgetting where he put his hammer. The nap has started nibbling at reality. It's subtle, like a dream. You don't notice until your teeth are suddenly jelly beans and your math teacher is a walrus. But here, in the 9 realms, you feel it. Timelines jitter. Slightly. Physics sighs in confusion. And the wind smells like cinnamon one moment and wet dog the next. Welcome to cosmic jet lag. You're sitting on a thick, mossy branch, halfway up Yggdrasil, and you swear the bark beneath. You just gave a lazy shrug. Glance around. That's when you see it. Midgard, your realm. flickering like a tired light bulb. Skyscrapers ripple. Forests pixelate slightly. A flock of birds flies backward for a moment, then corrects like nothing happened. Totally normal. Nothing to see here. Up above, the golden sheen of Asgard has dulled. The realm of the gods home to Odin, Frigg, Thor, and a buffet of divine personalities now looks sleepy. That gleaming bridge Bifrost? Slightly crooked, like Heimdallr had snoozed too many times and forgot to straighten it before morning. And speaking of Odin, he's sulking. You peer into a godly balcony woven into Yggdrasil's upper branches, where Odin sits hunched over a table, covered in scrolls, ravens, and a half-eaten cinnamon roll. Hugin and Munin, his loyal thought and memory birds, circle above, arguing in harsh squawks. One dives down to whisper something in his ear, and Odin groans. He knows the nap has begun, and he's not thrilled. See, Odin sacrificed a lot to keep things running, like his eye, which now rests in Mimisbrunna, the well of wisdom, sloshing around like a divine olive in a cocktail of prophecy. He also hung himself from this very tree for 9 days and nights to unlock the secrets of the runes. Not exactly the type of guy who enjoys naps, especially when reality depends on him keeping a tight ship. Still, Odin isn't panicking yet, but there's a twitch in his one good eye as he watches Yggdrasil sway. Meanwhile, Midgard, your Earth, has its own issues mortals are reacting to. The tree's sluggishness in predictably chaotic ways. Some feel exhausted for no reason. Others report lucid dreams featuring goats on rooftops and wolves reciting poetry. And a small group in Iceland is building a shrine out of recycled soda cans, claiming the tree told them to. Historians still argue whether mass hallucinations were common in ancient times or just very creative ways to explain migraines and bad weather. But the humans aren't alone in feeling the effects. Down in Vanaheim, land of the fertility gods, flowers bloom in reverse. In Alfheim, home of the light elves, the morning sun arrives 10 minutes early and then retreats like it forgot something. Time's drunk, completely blitzed on sap and starlight. You shuffle along the branch, trying to spot more changes. That's when a new sound hits your ears, buzzing like angry bees in a plastic bag. You follow it downward and find a meeting happening on a nearby root platform. You creep closer. 3 dwarves are arguing over a blueprint shaped like a giant acorn. One keeps gesturing wildly at a lever made of enchanted cheese. Another's shouting something about chronospatial maintenance. And the third? He's asleep, mouth open, snoring hard enough to rattle the inkpot. Apparently, they were trying to patch up a weakened timeline in Svartalfheim by building a dimensional traffic cone. Instead, they made a nap-powered blender. Typical dwarves brilliant, but catastrophically untested. You make a mental note not to touch anything with a rune on it. Here's a mainstream historical fact to keep in your back pocket. The Norse concept of time wasn't linear like ours. It looped, spiraled, twisted around itself like an Ouroboros with a scheduling problem. They believed fate was woven by the Norns, those mysterious 3 women who lived at the base of Yggdrasil. Past, present, and future weren't separate. They overlapped. That's why right now you might be living next Thursday's headache today. Now for a little fringe weirdness. Some speculative thinkers, aka well-read weirdos, proposed that Yggdrasil's nap could be a metaphor for collective unconscious fatigue. They think when too many minds stop dreaming, really dreaming, the tree feels it. And lately, humanity's been dozing with one eye on their phone. Your thoughts are interrupted by a quiet pop. You turn and find a Valkyrie floating. Sideways. Yes, sideways. Gravity's lost interest. Have you seen my clipboard? She asks. You shake your head. She squints at the sky, mutters something about rescheduling Ragnarok again, and floats away, spinning slowly like a celestial Roomba. Yggdrasil groans again. Longer this time, dot. It's the kind of groan that shifts tectonic plates just a smidge off-center. Somewhere in Midgard, someone's GPS just told them to drive through a lake. You realize something profound in that moment. The tree isn't just tired, it's overwhelmed. For eons, it supported gods, mortals, monsters, myths. It's carried prayers, battles, secrets, and maybe now it just needs 5 minutes. A soft patch of moss. A break from holding up literally everything. Can you blame it? You stretch out along the branch, nearing the tree. Your eyes drift shut for a moment. The bark hums beneath you again, quieter now, like a lullaby sung to the stars. But somewhere deep below, the sound of chewing continues relentless, hungry. Ratatoskr is still running. The moment you open your eyes again, you're not quite sure how much time has passed. Yggdrasil's branches feel heavier beneath you, like someone pressed snooze one too many times. And now the entire cosmos is hitting that weird between dreams limbo where logic casually takes the day off. You sit up and notice something new. The sky. If you can call it a sky when it stretches. Across 9 realms stitched together with myth and moody lighting is glitching. One moment it's golden daylight with Asgard's towers sparkling like a fantasy, scren, say VR. The next it's nighttime, with the stars blinking like they're trying to send a Morse code SOS. And between those flashes of dusk and dawn, you glimpse something you really didn't expect. Midgard's moon is now smiling like full-on Cheshire grin. Creepy? Yes. Glowing? Also yes. But the weirdest part? You feel like it's trying to wink at you. Now you're no expert in Norse cosmology, but you're pretty sure the moon doesn't usually wink. You glance down. Niflhim, realm of ice and fog, is steaming. Slightly, that shouldn't be happening. Then again, nothing should. That's the point. Yggdrasil is slipping into its nap, and its hold on reality is fraying like the edges of an old T-shirt. Off in the distance, you hear muffled shouting. You scoot along a thick vine and peek through the leafy curtain. It's the gods, and they're having a full-on emergency Zoom meeting. Odin's there, still cranky, scratching his beard with one eye narrowed. Thor keeps trying to say something important, but is distracted by the fact that Mjolnir now seems to be slightly magnetic to his boots. Freya is sipping from a golden chalice labeled "Not My Problem." And Loki, of course, is pretending to be a shrub. Loki's disguise is not working. Everyone knows it's him. The shrub is smirking. Someone has to go down there, Odin mutters, pointing toward the tree's roots. This is not a drill. Yggdrasil is asleep, and the dragon's picking up the tempo. Freya raises a brow. And what exactly do you propose we do about it? Rock it gently? Sing lullabies in Old Norse? Thor grunts. We could punch it. Everyone glares. You lean in, caught in the weird crossfire of divine pettiness, until a tiny voice chirps right behind your ear. Sneaky, aren't you? You nearly fall off the branch. Ratatoskr again. He's perched on your shoulder now, claws surprisingly gentle. They won't fix it, he mutters. They can't. Too distracted. Too proud. It's the same every time. You whisper, every time? The squirrel nods solemnly. This isn't the first nap. Not by a long shot. Now there's a twist. Ratatoskr explains between loud crunches on a nut that every few cosmic ages, Yggdrasil needs a rest, not a death, not a collapse, just a break. Like a sleep mode for the universe. And each time, the balance of the 9 realms wobbles dangerously until someone or something gently nudges it back into alignment. Usually, he says with a sigh, it's the Norns, but they've, well, gone quiet. You blink. The Norns, those spooky ladies at the base of Yggdrasil, weaving the past, present, and future together into a cosmic scarf. Gone. That's like finding out your heart just submitted a vacation request, and no one's covering your shift. Historians still argue whether the Norns were goddesses, spirits, or metaphors for destiny itself. What they do agree on: when the Norns stop weaving, stuff gets weird. Suddenly, the tree shakes. Not a gentle sway, but a full-bodied shudder, like someone cracked their back after a millennium of bad posture. You grip the branches, birds scream past you, flying upside down. Lightning flashes, but instead of thunder, you hear a faint voice shout, "Does anyone have the Wi-Fi password?" You know what this is. A realm just blinked out and rebooted. Probably Jotunheim giants aren't exactly graceful about existential transitions. And there, just as things seem to stabilize for a moment, the tree groans again, lower this time, sleepier. You feel it, pulling you downward, not literally, but emotionally, spiritually, like gravity's been replaced by a soft, slow lull. The tree is dreaming now, dreaming you. A vision flickers across your thoughts, a long hallway lined with doors, each one carved with runes you don't recognize. Behind one, the sound of ocean waves dot another, the crackle of fire dot another. Pure silence. You realize this may be how Yggdrasil sees reality, not as places, but as moods, as songs. You're jolted back by Ratatosk's sudden squeak. You have to go to the well. Mimmisbrunner. You ask, "The well of wisdom?" He nods. It's the only place left that still remembers. Mimmisbrunner, the well of wisdom, guarded by Mimir, the disembodied head who knows every secret. Odin gave his eye to drink from it. You'll probably need a better offering than that. You begin your descent as you climb downward, passing through leaves that shift from green to gold to glowing blue. You remember your quirky fact for this leg of the journey. In some obscure versions of the mythology, the well of Mimir wasn't just a pool. It was a mirror, one that reflected not your face, but your potential, what you could be, what the tree could become. You brace yourself, because if Yggdrasil is slipping into dream, then someone's going to need to figure out how to wake it up. Or worse, decide whether it should be woken up at all. And you're now halfway down the spine of a sleeping god tree, listening to reality yawn. No pressure. You're barely halfway to the well when you start to notice things getting thicker. Not just the air, though that too, sticky and warm, like you've walked into the breath of a giant slumbering under too many blankets. No. Reality itself is thicker here. Like swimming in syrup. Every step along Yggdrasil's mighty lower limbs takes effort. Like the tree is testing your determination. You push forward anyway, guided by Ratatoskr, who's now riding your head like he owns it. "This way," he mutters, gnawing on something that may or may not have legs. Around you, the bog pulses faintly with a bioluminescent glow, veins of soft gold and pale green winding, like sleepy constellations under your fingertips. Far below, the tangled roots of Yggdrasil twist in ancient spirals, giant enough to cradle mountains, old enough to remember before time had a name. Then finally, you see it, a glimmer in the darkness. Like moonlight caught in still water, Mimmisbrunner, the well of wisdom, is nestled in a grove of gnarled roots, each one larger than a cruise ship and humming with an ancient rhythm. And there, floating above the well like a very serious balloon, is Mimir, or what's left of him. Just a head. No body, long beard, closed eyes, an expression of someone who knows all the plot twists and won't spoil them. His mouth is slightly open, as though he fell asleep mid-sentence and decided to just stay that way forever. Ratatoskr hops off your head and bows slightly. "Mimir." "Nothing. Asterisk. Clear your throat." "Hi. Sorry to drop in. The universe is, tired, and we're trying to, unfrazzle the fabric of everything. Could use a hint." Still nothing. Just silence. The well ripples faintly, and then a whisper so soft you might have imagined it. "Payment." Oh, right. Mimir doesn't do free consultations. Odin gave up his eye. You check your pockets. Lint. Half a granola bar. A ticket stub from a museum exhibit on Viking metallurgy. Then, you remember, you pull out a small token. Ratatoskr handed you earlier without explanation. A shard of bark carved with spiraling runes that seem to move when you're not looking. At them directly. You drop it into the water. The well flashes white. Suddenly, you're standing not physically, but spiritually on a flat plane that stretches forever in every direction. The sky above is a swirling mosaic of memories and possibilities. Ships burning, gods falling, a child feeding a wolf, the moon dot in the center. Mimir's head floats again, only now it's massive, towering, eyes glowing with knowledge that tastes like lightning. He speaks, and his voice sounds like it's coming from inside. Your bones. You seek to wake the tree. You nod. It's napping. Dreaming. Everything's melting. Yes, he says simply. It dreams of endings. A chill runs through you. Ragnarok? Perhaps. Or perhaps renewal. He drifts closer. Historians still argue whether Ragnarok is the final end or merely the beginning of a cycle. The Norse sagas left room for rebirth, for hope. You think of the Crook Bifrost, the Backward Birds, the Time Police Valkyrie from earlier. Doesn't feel very helpful. But how do I help? You ask. Mimir's eyes dim slightly. The Norns have stopped weaving. You must find them. Only they can guide the tree's dream into something that becomes tomorrow. Where are they? Scattered, he says. One hides in memory, one in prophecy, and one is stepped outside time entirely. Excellent. Nothing's ever easy. Mimir begins to fade. To find them, follow the roots. But be warned, dreams guard themselves. And not all want to wake. Before you can ask what that means, the vision collapses inward, and you're yanked back into your body, sprawled beside the well, breathing hard. Ratatoskr's nibbling your ear. Took you long enough, he grumbles. You sit up. The tree trembles again. A slow, deep sigh shakes the roots. Somewhere in Midgard, a traffic light turns purple and causes a 4-hour debate on whether that means go really fast or existential crisis. You glance around. The roots extend in all directions, like highways made of ancient wood and cosmic intention. One pulses red. Another blue. A third flickers like an old VHS tape. You pick the flickering one. Feels chaotic. Probably the right choice. As you step onto it, Ratatoskr hops after you. We'll start with memory, he says. Memory. The past. The part of the weave the Norns called Maybe she can still be found, huddled among faded echoes and dusty half-truths. You follow the flickering route deeper into the dark, where time no longer behaves. You see Viking ships sailing across clouds. A Roman soldier casually eating popcorn while watching a Norse funeral. An ice cream cone melting in reverse. And a woolly mammoth chasing a philosopher down a hallway made of calendars. Yeah, definitely memory. And your mainstream historical moment? That's easy. Asterisk. The Norse believed that memory wasn't passive. It was active, living. The very word for history in Old Norse was tied to storytelling, oral tradition, to keeping memory alive through speech and song. That's why forgetting things was so dangerous. It wasn't just losing a fact. It was letting part of reality fade. You begin to wonder if the tree isn't just tired, but afraid. Afraid it's being forgotten. One last odd tidbit for the road. There's a fringe theory that ancient myths were interactive. That telling the story again helped reinforce the world. So maybe, just maybe, this whole journey isn't about fixing the tree at all. Maybe. It's about remembering it. And maybe that's exactly what Yggdrasil needs. You step carefully along the flickering route, and the world begins to warp around you. Not in the "we took a wrong turn at Albuquerque" kind of way, but in the memories are melting into each other kind of way. Everything seems familiar and strange all at once. To your left, a hall of shields, some Viking, some Ramal. One that looks suspiciously like a Captain America replica pinned to the bark, like a gallery of forgotten valor. To your right, a forest made of old stories, tree trunks edged with runes, leaves whispering lines from bedtime tales your grandmother probably didn't know were ancient Norse metaphors. Ratatoskr mutters, "We're close." Memory likes to pretend she doesn't want visitors, but she's terrible at hiding. And just like that, you see her dot at first. She seems like a ripple more suggestion than shape. But as you squint, the ripple forms into a figure tall, cloaked in fabrics woven from smoke and whispers. This is the Norn of the past. Her face is both young and impossibly old, like someone who has relived every moment she's ever witnessed. She's sitting at the base of a twisted column of bark, spinning something between her fingers. Not thread, not yarn. You lean closer. She's spinning stories, long golden strands that shimmer with memory scenes from centuries ago. Dreams half remembered, whispered regrets and half-sung lullabies. The thread doesn't lead anywhere. It just floats into the void, lost unless someone like her remembers, or doesn't look up. "I know why you've come," she says quietly. You open your mouth, but she raises one finger. "Don't speak. Words are brittle here." She lifts a strand and hands it to you. It curls around your fingers like warmth itself. "You wish to wake the tree," she murmurs. "But you've forgotten something crucial. Yggdrasil is memory." "Wait, what?" She gestures to the branches above. Each leaf, each root, each ring of bark, it remembers. The 9 realms, the gods, even you. All of it lives in memory. And memory is tired. You glance down at the golden thread. It pulses faintly in your grip, as if alive. Then you notice something odd. The strand flickers momentarily, shifting into an image of you climbing, talking to Ratatoskr, peering into the well. Raises an eyebrow. "See? You're part of the weave. Now, that's a little too meta for this hour of night." "Why is the tree forgetting?" You ask quietly. She hesitates. "But because no one tells the stories anymore. Not the old ones. Not fully. They're fractured, commercialized, misremembered." A pause. Or dismissed. A flash in the thread. A textbook page calling Norse myths primitive oral tradition. Someone tweeting Loki is bay under a gif of Tom Hiddleston. You cough politely. Sighs. When myths become memes, the roots loosen. You feel that in your chest. "But we can fix this," you say. "Right? You, the others." Her eyes narrow. "I won't leave." "What? Why not?" "I guard the past," she says simply. "If I leave, the old stories fade permanently, and that can't happen. Even a dreaming tree must remember how it grew." You try to argue, but you know she's right. Someone has to stay behind to keep. History anchored. She presses the golden strand into your hand. "Take this. It will guide you to Vergandi. She is the present. She drifts." You nod, heart heavier. Ratatoskr hops onto your shoulder again, uncharacteristically silent. The path begins to change. The flickering root hardens, sharpens. Time resumes its chaotic flow, and you feel the present pulling at your mind like a strong tide. You're stepping into now where everything is unstable because nothing stays. Still long enough to be remembered. Your quirky fringe tidbit before we go. Some Norse scholars argue that is less of a name and more of a concept, literally, that which has become dot. It's less about memory and more about inevitable consequence. If that doesn't keep you up at night, nothing will. And as you walk toward the next Norn, the tree murmurs again, a long exhale. You realize it's remembering something it almost forgot. Maybe you. The air changes again. Gone is the sticky warmth of memories embraced. Now the world smells of static electricity and fresh coffee. The root beneath your feet shifts constantly, smooth 1 second, rough the next, like it's trying on different textures to see what fits. You've entered the domain of Vergandi, the Norn of the present. Ratatoskr whispers, stay focused. The present doesn't like to sit still. No kidding. You blink, and suddenly, the sky overhead turns into a fast-forward reel. You glimpse Midgard cities flickering in and out of existence. Buildings rising and falling like Lego towers in the hands of a hyper-toddler. People walking backward. Conversations overlapping like badly dubbed movies. And at one point, you spot a Viking longship gliding through a parking garage. The route path jolts under you. Digital chime pings from nowhere. Then a voice, calm and glitchy. You have entered Zone Vergandi. Please adjust your awareness. You nearly fall over when the scenery slams into a new state. A bright room, filled with clocks. Hundreds of them. Cuckoo clocks. Smartwatches. Hourglasses with neon sand. One grandfather clock that's clearly just a refrigerator in disguise. Sitting in the center, cross-legged atop a cushion that changes shape every few seconds, is Vergandi. She's difficult to focus on. Her form keeps shifting. One moment, she's a teenager scrolling through a runestone tablet. The next, a weary mother stirring a cauldron with a glowing stylus. Then, a hyper-caffeinated Twitch streamer explaining time loops to an invisible audience. Oh, hey, she chirps, noticing you. You made it. Love that for you. You exchange glances with Ratatoskr, who already looks done. I was just reacting to your journey so far, she says brightly. Solid pacing. A little heavy on metaphors, but hey, it's a mythic structure. Comes with the territory. You blink. You know what's happening. She twirls a digital sundial between her fingers. Sweetie, I am what's happening. Okay, fair. She leans forward. So, you're trying to keep the tree from slipping into full snooze mode, right? The dream's pulling reality apart. She nods. Classic cosmic burnout. Too many realms pulling at once. Too few believers keeping things anchored. Honestly, I blame. Late-stage narrative fatigue. You point to the roots shuddering underfoot. We need your help to rebalance the weave. Her gave us memory, and Mimir told us the three of you could guide the dream. She pauses, then frowns. I would love to help, truly. But, she glitches down. Of course she does. I tried to stabilize, she adds quickly. But the present is look around you. Non-stop updates, timeline shifts, algorithmic chaos. And about 6 parallel Midgards fighting over what year it is. You notice that the clocks on the wall are now ticking in syncopated rhythm, like a bad jazz band. Vergandi presses her hand to her forehead. I can't ground myself. And if I can't stabilize, I'll just short out the tree even more. Is there anything we can do? You ask. She nods slowly. I need something constant. Something that doesn't change. She holds out her hand. You fumble through your pack, half expecting to find only crumbs and old receipts, but your fingers land on something warm as golden memory strand. You pass it over. It slithers into Vergandi's palm like it recognizes her. Immediately, her form begins to steady. Her face locks into focus. Not youthful, not old, but present. Real. She gasps softly. That's better. Ratatoskr sighs with relief. Great. Now help us before another timeline invents sentient yogurt. Vergandi raises her hands, and the clocks pause. Silence. Glorious. Still silence. This, she says, is how the present should feel. Not racing, not melting, just being. Then she begins to braid the golden strand around her wrist. This will help me stay grounded while I guide the tree's dream back toward coherence. But you're not done yet. You raise an eyebrow. Let me. Guess. School's the future. Burgundy confirms. She's tricky. You glance toward the horizon. The path forward is gone, just swirling mist and silence. Burgundy snaps her fingers. A ripple cuts through the fog, revealing a narrow bridge of light. She doesn't live in time anymore. She watches it from outside. You'll have to walk through possibility itself to find her. That sounds perfectly horrifying. Word of advice, Burgundy adds. The future isn't the place. It's choices, and she will test yours. You nod one foot in front of the other. Before you go, your mainstream historical moment. The concept of fate in Norse myth wasn't about helplessness. The Norns didn't write your future in stone. They wove it. Threads could shift. Patterns could change. Even gods had choices. And your quirky fact, there's an obscure Icelandic poem that claims the Norns used to argue over knitting techniques. Allegedly, the modern pearl stitch was invented during a cosmic debate between Skuld and a frost giant who wanted decorative socks. No. Really. Look it up. Or don't. It might unravel your socks. As you cross the bridge of light. Reality tilts again. Each step feels like a coin toss. You glimpse possible futures. A world ruled by mushrooms, a peaceful Yggdrasil, humming lullabies to baby planets. Somewhere, strangely, yourself older, sipping tea on a balcony that overlooks everything, and just ahead, the shimmer of someone waiting. You take one more step onto the bridge of light, and everything falls away. Not in a you plummet screaming sort of way, but in the unnerving sensation of being untethered, like a cursor blinking on a blank page. The world around you dissolves into possibility. Fragments of potential futures flutter like holographic butterflies. To your left, a version of Midgard, where humans live harmoniously in biodomes powered by dragon yawns. To your right, one where everyone communicates exclusively through interpretive dance and nobody ever invented chairs. It's chaos. Yes, but it's also kind of beautiful. Ratatoskr, perched on your shoulder again, whispers, "Careful. This is where time gives up pretending to behave." You nod, even though your stomach is doing interpretive flips. The path is narrowing now, shrinking to a tight beam of shifting probability. And ahead, finally, you see her Skuld, the Norn of what may yet come. She's standing calmly at the center of a rotating disc made entirely of glinting hourglasses, each one pouring sand upwards. Her robes are stitched with flickering lines of code, and her eyes, when they meet yours, are like staring into the infinite loading screen of a cosmic computer. "You're early," she says with a smirk. "I'm on time," you reply. She grins. Close enough. Her presence is less human, more force. You feel like you're standing next to both the concept of hope and the anxiety of waiting for a job. Interview result all at once. You nod. The past and present are helping. "We need you to guide the rest." She circles you slowly. You realize waking a dream has consequences, right? Especially a dream this foundational. Your mouth is dry. What kind of consequences? Skuld shrugs. Reality won't be the same. Some futures die so others can live. It's the deal. Are you ready to make that kind of choice? You glance around. The disc rotates beneath your feet, offering glimpses of futures that range from delightful to catastrophic. One shows Earth, flooded but thriving under an alliance with sentient NRLUHLS. Another shows Midgard consumed by giant AI-powered squirrels. You glance at Ratatoskr. "Hey, don't look at me," he mutters. "I only run messages." Skuld reaches into her robe and pulls out a spindle made of obsidian and starlight. This holds the possible thread of what might be, but it's unstable. I can't just hand it over. You have to earn it. "Ah, of course." She waves a hand, and the air crystallizes. Suddenly, you're standing inside a labyrinth of mirrors. Each mirror shows a different version of you. Happy, lost, angry, Older, victorious, forgotten. Skuld's voice echoes. Choose the reflection that leads to a future worth. Weaving. No pressure that you step forward. Studying each image. Some are tempting. One shows you surrounded by success and admiration. Another shows you resting peacefully in a cottage that smells like pine and soup. But then there's one that catches your eye. It shows you exhausted, covered in bark dust and cosmic glitter, holding up Yggdrasil like an unpaid stagehand, while realms wobble above you. You smile. That one feels true. You touch the mirror and it shatters gently, turning to soft wind. The labyrinth fades. Skuld is waiting, spindle glowing in her hand. Well chosen, she says. She places the spindle in your palm. It hums like a song you don't quite know but already love. Bring this to the tree's heart, she instructs. Place it at the Dreamroot and choose. What kind of world do you want it to wake into? She pauses, then adds softer. Even I don't know what you'll pick. The future is never fixed. The platform tilts, and the bridge of light reforms behind you. One final walk remains back to the tree's core. As you turn to leave, you catch one last glimpse of Skuld, now backlit by a swirling sky of futures. She winks. Good luck. You're going to need it. Your mainstream historical moment before we go. The Norse believed fate wasn't ironclad, more like woven potential. Even the gods, powerful as they were, couldn't override the weave entirely. Odin knew his doom at Ragnarok and still chose to face it. And your fringe tidbit: there's a 9th century rune carving in Sweden that some scholars believe was meant to edit fate. It shows a man carving over an older rune, possibly attempting to rewrite his destiny. Did it work? Historians still argue whether it was a ritual correction or just bad spelling. You step off the platform, back onto Yggdrasil's bark. The roots glow beneath you, vibrating gently as the 3 threads: the past, the present, and the possible twine in your hands. The tree is ready. Almost. Just one more thing. The bark under your feet pulses like a slow drumbeat, ancient, alive, and waiting. As you descend back toward the tree's core, the 3 threads in your hand shimmer with their own rhythm. Memory, immediacy, possibility. Ur's golden strand, Burgundy's anchored present, Skuld's glimmering spindle. Together, they hum with something almost like breath. You've seen the roots. You've spoken with wells and watched time warp itself into lattice of meaning and mischief. And now you're returning to the beginning, to the Dreamroot. Ratatoskr clears his throat. Just so we're clear, there's no redo button here. Once you plant that spindle, we're all in. You pause. What happens if I don't? He shrugs. Yggdrasil maps forever. The realms start to drift. Eventually, maybe they blink out. Maybe they turn into really confusing TikToks. Hard to say. He pats your shoulder. No pressure. The tunnel toward the Dreamroot looks different now. Where it once was dark and gnarled, it's softened into glowing bark patterns. Like the aurora borealis decided to take up woodworking. The very air smells of rain on old stone and thunder caught in a bottle. You recognize these scents. Now, their stories. The tree remembers you. When you finally step into the core, it's like arriving in a cathedral carved by the universe itself. The Dreamroot pulses in the center thick, silver-veined, coiled with vines made of breath and myth. Its bark is etched with moving pictures, shifting faces. Ancient creatures, unknown futures fluttering in and out of view like dreams trying on outfits. And nestled in the center, a hollow just the right size for the spindle. You take a deep breath, then everything stops. Are you ready? Ratatoskr asks. His voice unusually quiet. You nod. But what exactly am I choosing? The squirrel blinks. The tone of the next dream. You're not writing a script. You're humming the key it will be sung in. Okay, that's cryptic and beautiful and terrifying. The 3 threads lift from your hands and begin to spin, slowly weaving themselves around the hollow. You step forward, place the spindle into the nest of roots, and the world fades into stillness. Then, a voice, not male, not female, not even really a voice, just the sense of being asked a question. What should I dream next? It isn't words, it's raw feeling. You sense Yggdrasil asking, not with desperation, but curiosity. The way a child might ask what comes after the last page of a storybook. And somehow, you know you have to answer. Not with words. Not even with thoughts, with choice, Do you want a future that remembers the old ways? One that heals the realms? One that burns it all and begins again? A path where gods return or vanish entirely? You think of her, spinning memories alone in her cavern of echoes. You think of Vergandi, barely holding herself together under the weight of the present. You think of Schooled, watching futures bloom and die with a flick of her hand. And then you think of yourself, walking the roots, choosing to help, being part of the weave. Your answer blooms in your chest, not a command, not a demand, just a suggestion. Let the dream be one where stories are remembered. Where change doesn't erase the past. Where possibility includes mercy. Where even gods can grow. The tree sighs. A pulse erupts from the Dreamroot, soft and slow, like a drumbeat learning how to love again. The bark glows gold, then green and violet. Leaves bloom above your head fast, joyful, like confetti made of spring. You fall backward, caught in the breath of the awakening. Ratatoskr laughs beside you, fur fizzing with static. You did it. You don't speak. You don't need to. The tree is dreaming again. Not fading, not breaking. Just resting with purpose. Your historical nugget before we close. Yggdrasil was believed to be the axis of existence in Norse cosmology, connecting all 9 realms and acting as the foundation of reality. Some scholars even argue it represents a kind of spiritual nervous system for the universe. And here's your quirky tidbit. The 13th century Icelandic manuscript suggests Yggdrasil may have shed dreams like leaves, allowing certain myths to fall away while new ones grew, kind of like seasonal content updates. But divine, as the glow from the Dreamroot fades to a gentle hum, you feel something lift inside you, like a knot in your chest finally loosening. The tree sleeps again, but this time, it dreams of you. You lie on the smooth bark floor for a long time, watching faint lights drift upward through the branches, like bioluminescent fireflies with nothing better to do. Above, the canopy of Yggdrasil rustles in no wind at all, just the slow exhale of a world that's finally at ease. The Dreamroot hums softly beside you, no longer pulsing with urgency, but with calm intention. Like a lullaby strummed on the strings of a cello carved from starlight. You sit up slowly. The threads of the Norns now wrap gently around your wrist. They're not tugging, not binding, just resting with you. Ratatoskr clambers up your arm and flicks his tail. Not bad, mortal. Most people don't even make it past Vergani's kitchen of chaos. You chuckle, your voice low and a little raspy. Was this all real? He shrugs. Define real. Classic squirrel. You stand, wobble a bit, then plant your feet. The tree feels different now, like standing on a page after the story's been written. But before the ink has dried, possibility hums beneath your solace, and then faint footsteps. You turn to see 3 figures standing at the edge of the clearing. Vergandi, and Schooled. They don't speak, not at first. Just watch you with expressions that are part pride, part melancholy, part cosmic HR satisfaction. Gives a nod. You honored memory. Vergandi smiles. You stayed grounded even in the mess. Schooled smirks. And you didn't try to install yourself as a god. Refreshing. They approach in unison, Placing their hands over the dream root dot, it glows once, brightly, then settles into a quiet blue shimmer like the glow of a phone screen in the middle of the night, but somehow comforting instead of doom-scrolly. This dream, Skuld says, is now yours too, for as long as it lasts. You feel it then, the tree's dream, twirling around you, not to trap, to welcome, it's not just Yggdrasil. That needed a nap, it was everyone, the stories, the gods, the chaos, and calm, the people who forgot the old names, even the names themselves. Sometimes, the best thing a world can do is rest, then rise. You look up into the canopy, which now stretches far beyond sight. Somewhere up there, a raven caws gently, maybe hugging, maybe mooning. You've honestly lost track of who's who at this point. The Norns begin to fade into the branches, back to their work, to their watching. Threads trail behind them like sleepy fireworks. Skuld's voice drifts last. Tell someone the story. That's how it lives. And just like that, they're gone. You and Ratatoskr walk back up the root path in silence. The bark below glows softly with every step, like it remembers where you've been, like it's grateful. You ask quietly, what happens now? Ratatoskr yawns. Now, you wake up. You raise an eyebrow. That's it? He grins. You really thought we'd end on a twist? Nah. Just sleep, friend. You earned it. You smile, then slowly. The light around you dims. Not a jarring fade to black, but the kind of slow dusk that falls after a perfect evening. The branches hush, the leaves still. Even the stars wink out one by one, like someone's tucking the universe in. Everything rests, including you. The bark beneath your feet softens into something like moss-warm and welcoming, as if Yggdrasil itself has made a bed just for you. The rhythm of the tree's new dream is slow. Now, gentle, like a distant lullaby heard through a bedroom wall. Each breath you take feels lighter, less tangled with urgency, more like an exhale. After holding it all in for far too long, the lights above fade into a deep blue. Then velvet black, no fear here, just calm. The kind that curls around your shoulders like a favorite blanket and says, without words, you're safe now. Yggdrasil dreams. And you, tiny and mighty and brave, are part of it. Maybe tomorrow, you'll tell someone the story. Maybe you'll just carry it like a pebble in your pocket. That's enough. Now, close your eyes. Let your thoughts drift like leaves riding the breeze through branches older than time. Let your mind quiet like the hush of snow falling in a forgotten forest. Sleep. Little wanderer, the tree is watching over you, and it's dreaming sweetly.